So I've redone my office, and right now it looks terrible because I've just got my monitors on and no lights, but I want to share with you a little bit about how it now looks. So and there we go. That is now kind of how the office now looks. So previously I had my camera over this way, facing that way, so my window's over there. And the reason I've changed it round is for a few fold. First of all, light technology and camera technology has got so small that I needed to have more distance between where my camera and the light source, which was my window, was placed, and then enough to kind of be able to fit me in frame. But I've got this beautiful 10 to 20 millimeter lens from Nikon, although specifically this is a Nikkor. That means that I can capture a bit more in frame, so it distorts things a little bit if you see how massive my hands are, but I'm only this far away from the camera, right, which means I can get much closer to it. And I've also set up some more light sources to be able to make it look basically a little bit more natural. The idea, the rule of thumb, is the more light you throw in yourself as a subject, the better it looks. I'm using a really simple 3-point system, which seems to be a bit divisive. A lot of people say that you shouldn't use it. A lot of people say that it's over complex. And other people say, look, if you've got 3 light sources, it makes a lot of difference. It's actually kind of light outside. I'm filming this in the middle of the day, so I'm gonna also open up the blind, which as a rule is much better than anything. And the more natural light you've got, the better. However, it does tend to harshen the shadows because it's coming from this side. So I needed to make sure that I had another ring light, and you can just see it in the background there over to my right, that throws some more light on this side. And if I turn this off, can you see that the side of my face goes much darker? So I've put this on. I've also got a light over here, which during this point I could probably turn off. And you can see I just go darker in general, and the light from the window is much harsher. So if I turn this back on, it just softens the shadows that are on my face and makes it look a little bit easier. And then finally I've got a light behind me, up there. And this is what they call a backlight or a hair light, and the idea is it's above me and behind me, and you can just see the little details like the lighting on the back of the chair here, on the back of my head. It just brings me out of the background a little bit so that I don't blur in as much. I've also redecorated. You guys won't be able to tell, but the color scheme is essentially exactly the same. It's always been white, but I had to peel it back, and I've probably got some stuff on screen right now showing of all the stuff I had to peel back. We had to repaint it, and then I've got the green color behind me, not just from these LED fluorescent tubes, which are just like LEDs. They were really cheap on Amazon, just to kind of again add a bit of depth and something interesting to the background, but not so interesting that it distracts people. But then I've got our green as kind of a slide color on the feature wall. I thought the whole thing being green might be a bit too much. This lens as well, because this is a DSLR, just softens the background a bit. I think they call this bokeh or soft focus or something. I'm not really a videographer or a photographer, so I don't really know the technical terms, but I do know that it makes me in subject view look a little bit more focused and a bit more framed in a way that is clearly I'm the center of the topic, and I should be the center, right? See, these are at a right angle here. This top side is a right angle, so that means that this is the back piece. Make sure you don't spray the front side, because the idea is they lean out and they look really interesting when they're angled like this. But yeah, I've made the mistake of spraying the front side rather than the back side, because you want it to sit flush and make sure that this sits flush along the top as well with a 90-degree angle. Another reason I've done this is because I've got a shelving unit behind where you are now, and I'll turn the camera around in a bit, but it means that I can have a digital camera on the shelf and I can do whiteboard training like I did yesterday. Previously, I'd have to move the camera and kind of mess things around. It became very complex. This is basically going to be much easier for me to create video content, as well as just having it facing the whiteboard all the time. I think this also increases the production value a little bit, and for the sake of, I had a ton of Amazon vouchers that I saved up, and I bought the Niwa LED RGB 660, which I will put a link to down below. Really cool light, can be controlled with your phone as well, which is kind of awesome. And it just means that I can light things much more consistently. A lot of the time, especially during winter, there's just no light coming through. And if I film a video past 5 o'clock, there'll be no natural light. And previously I just had the light, you know, above me on, which really doesn't do much for how it looks, and it sometimes messes with the autofocus as well. So let's turn the camera around. I want to show you this wall as well as a few other things that I've been working on. So this is now facing the other way. I've got the whiteboard just behind you over there, and this is where I have been sat with the camera about here pointing this way, and facing the other way, this is now where we've got my acoustic foam. I've still got the backlight on, but now this is what they call the key light, which is the main light lighting up my face. I've got the window open. If I close this blind, you can see that the shadows are a bit more dramatic on my face because we've got no like big light source flooding me. If I wanted to move this light, which was the key light here, I'll show you this, but I could move that in front of me and change it around, so it's really easy to mess around with the lighting system. I'm just going to open up the blind a bit as well because it's really hot in here with the LEDs on. But the boards now behind me, which are a load of shelves which I made from scratch, and again I've probably got something on screen now of me messing around with them and scraping down the walls. I've also got acoustic foam this way, which is a green colour as well, which is kind of the sell your service colour. And it means that if I'm talking this way, you're still not going to get any reverberations or echoes because I've got the acoustic foam on that wall. And if I'm facing this way, I have acoustic foam on that wall as well. There's a little bit down to the side here. I was basically sat in this place. We've been kind of rebuilding it over a period of a few weeks, and I wanted to see, well, what sounds good, what sounds bad, where do I find echo? And just to the side here as well, we've got some acoustic foam there as well. So I've painted this entire room from top to bottom, and then the first thing I've done is basically cover up all of my hard work and all of Liv's hard work with some acoustic foam, so you can't really tell the difference anyway. Chances are in future I'll get some LED lights or something, and you can see it's a bit of a mess because I've just thrown everything on there because I still need to do some work. We've got a little bit of acoustic foam left as well, but overall this is now the setup for the majority of the videos that I'll be doing. I think it's worth noting that you don't need all of this stuff to get started. In fact, I would actually advise against it. If you think that my YouTube channel's been running for a few years now, I've been running this business for a long time. This is all stuff that I've acquired over a long period of time. I only bought the lights last week, and that's because I thought I actually really need a consistent lighting system if I want to continue making videos throughout the winter. Previously, I'd have to do them like early in the morning or first thing to make sure I had enough light coming through the window, but this way now means that I can just create videos whenever I want them, but it doesn't mean it should have stopped me from creating videos even if I couldn't. I've even seen guys put like bright white backgrounds on LED monitors just so that gives them something to work with. You can go down a very deep dark rabbit hole when it comes to buying tech gear and cameras and stuff. I've done it. I've got all the camera gears up the top here that I've bought in the past. I've had dozens of lights and stuff, but all of this stuff is things that you don't need to have. They do add a little bit of production quality when you've done them, but ultimately it's not actually the be all and end all, and you really should start with just using a window or a natural light source facing it, because that will flood you with really soft light. With these, I've had to change the settings and change the diffusions and put different filters in front of them just to get a really nice natural looking light. I like the fact that it makes the background just a little bit darker, which again just pushes me out into the foreground just a tad, but ultimately that is how the studio or office is set up now. So thanks very much for watching. I just figured I'd put this video together. In the meantime, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. I'll see you on the next video. Have courage, commit, and take action.